I don't want to do it.
We have to.
I don't want to do it anymore.
We have to. We promised the people.
I don't want to do it until next season now.
Next season? The summer?
Maybe the summer. I don't want to do it. Good evening, everybody. In fact, today's a good day because Saints haven't played. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining us on the Saints Network podcast for your weekly dose of depressing news. Now, there's a couple of things I want to touch on before we get going with tonight's episodes. We're going to follow the usual format. We'll talk about yesterday's game versus Leicester, if you can call it a game of football. We'll talk about other news around the club, the transfer news and rumours that are happening now. The summer is getting closer, and some other little bits to finish off. There's a few points of admin we want to get at to start with. We do have our members competition currently live. If you are a member of the channel at any tier, even if you've been gifted, if you continue that membership for 3 months or more, then come the end of August, I think we said, We'll draw at random one of you, and you'll win whichever the new home shirt is. You'll win that in obviously the size that you require. You'll have to get hold of us via probably Discord, and we'll be able to get that sorted, whether we meet you at the club shop and buy you the shirt, get it shipped to you, whatever it might be. So don't feel like you can't win it if you're abroad, because we can still ship it to you. So there's that. That's the first point of admin. The second point of admin, there's no show next week.
There's not.
Now, I don't like missing weekly shows. I hate it, in fact. However, I'm going on holiday for a brief 4 days. If you can, in fact, call a journey to Coventry a holiday. I'm going on holiday for a few days. It's where the wife comes from originally. And I originally was like, I'm going to do the podcast on Sunday and then travel up afterwards. And then I worked it out. We're playing Man City on Saturday. I didn't think it was worth it. Watch this episode again. Probably be the same. And the third point is we're typically a PG show.
We are, sort of.
Ash and I are both quite passionate post yesterday's piss-poor performance. I'm going to issue a little warning. If you normally watch or listen to this with little children, I'm going to try, but it's hard. Because simply put, I personally believe that yesterday's was the most embarrassing performance of the season, in my honest opinion. Before we get into it, please make sure you hit all those magical YouTube buttons for us. Hit the like button if you enjoy the content. That's super helpful. If you're watching us for the first time, you've never found us before, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. That's really helpful. We're trying to march on to 1,000 subscribers. And then you can hit that bell notification icon if you want to be notified in the future when we go live, or if we ever drop any pre-recorded videos, which we're planning something for over the summer so we can keep up regular content. Yesterday, Southampton took the journey to the King Power Stadium, a stadium which has not been a fortress for Leicester City this season. In fact, over the course of their last 9 games prior to Southampton's visit, they hadn't scored a singular goal at home at the King Power Stadium. Ruud van Nistelrooy arguably looks like a worse appointment than Ivan Juric. And I was like, if we're going to beat this record of derbies, if we're going to end up with higher than 11 points, looking at the last 4 games of the season, which goes like this: Leicester away, Manchester City at home, Everton away at the final of a game at Goodison Park, and then Arsenal at home. This is going to be the one.
Easy 9 points, mate.
This is gonna be the one, right?
Yeah.
And I sat at home because I didn't go. I got offered the opportunity, and I'm like, nah, didn't fancy it. Mainly because I was like, well, I'm going to Leicester till next season, can't I? Because they're getting relegated too, because they are in fact the second worst team in the league supposedly. Okay. Although, having watched yesterday's game, you might not have thought that.
And there's still 10 points between the two of us.
So Matty was like, did you want to go? Do you want to go? And I was like, no, I don't. I don't think I do want to go, actually. And I have weekend plans with the family, and next weekend we're away for the weekend. And then there's, I'm going to Goodison Park. I've got a ticket for that. And then, actually, I'm going to give this one a miss. I don't like it. If I can go, I don't like missing it. But I was like, I don't feel like they deserve my Saturday afternoon. If we still had something to actually fight for, I feel like I'd have been more inclined to be like, at least I think I'm going to try and make the journey.
I think you can rephrase that. I don't think it's if we still have something to fight for. I think if they were still showing some fight. Technically, we still do. I think
if we were still showing some fight, I still think I'd be like, we're down, we're gone, we're bottom. I'm not sure if I really care that much at this point. I want the season to be over, and I think a lot of Saints fans would agree. But me being me and being a bit of a sadist, I took a couple of hours out of my day of DIY and family time to watch it. And what a shower of shit that was.
Putting it nicely, isn't it?
It was utterly embarrassing. It was gutless. It was hopeless. There was no effort. It looks like now they've all given up. Complete given up. It was a complete fucking embarrassment from start to finish. We didn't even. We showed maybe the first 10 minutes of a little bit of pressure. Stevens had an absolute howler of a game. He made a number of mistakes. One which led to their free kick, which led to the second goal. Ugachukwu was just giving the ball away in the middle of the park. So he didn't seem to be able to string a pass to a red and white shirt. Well, yellow, obviously, but you get the point, right? We had absolutely nothing in attack once again. Ross Stewart started up front in a game. Right, there's been some Saints fans out there. We're going to get Ash's point of view, but I'm going to rant for a couple of seconds, right? There's been some Saints fans out there that over the course of the last few weeks have in fact said, I want Russ to keep the job. I hope you're really reconsidering your answer after yesterday's performance. If you go to Leicester, who haven't scored a home game in 9 games at home in a row, and you're looking to get at least a point to try and be slightly better than that absolute terrible performance that Derby showed us a few years ago, why would you go with 5 at the back and the donkey Ross Stewart up front? Why would you? Simon Russ did an interview pre-game. Right? He was pressed by Alfie from the Daily Echo on why he's putting 5 at the back, because Saints fans don't like it. They don't like it. And I don't know many people that I've spoken to who are Saints fans, both in St Mary's at away games through the show, who like 5 at the back. No one likes 5 at the back who's a Saints fan. And he said, why are you playing 5 at the back? And Simon Russ said, we've been embarrassed a few times this season by high-scoring games against us, and I don't want to be one of those people. How can a man who is a professional coach at Premier League level, arguable, how can he think for 1 minute that 5 at the back stops that from being a thing? Because all you do is invite pressure. And for all those high-scoring games we've had against us this season, what are we playing?
5 at the back.
5 at the back! Moron. Anyway, that is largely irrelevant when you also look at the front lineup, and with the exception again of Matty Fernandez, we don't look like we have a single spark. Not a spark. It is like dipping a box of matches deep in a bucket of water and then trying to strike one. We don't have a spark. There's nothing at all. Sulemana looks back to being useless.
Yeah.
Ross Stewart, I tell you what, I had some sympathy for Ross Stewart, actually. He touched the ball maybe 3 times because that's the service he got. Flynn, I don't hate Flynn, but I think he needs a solid partner next to him to look even remotely close to good, and he'll be solid in the Championship, to be fair.
If he's here.
But he doesn't look like he's got a defence-splitting pass in him. And we partnered with Leslie, who actually, to be fair, we partnered with Leslie, who I've been quite impressed with since he started playing regular football. But he was atrocious yesterday. Absolutely atrocious. He's got one eye back on being back to Chelsea. And then Fernandez, he took him off 60 minutes, something like that. 55 minutes. And that went down well, didn't it, Mr. Rusk? Because he got booed from the crowd, followed by a chant of "You don't know what you're doing," followed by the song from Matty Fernandez until the end of the game from 57 minutes.
Even when the final whistle was going.
It's about the only thing the Saints fans have got to sing about. He's the only thing they've got to sing about. He's the only thing. And he then came out in the press afterwards and said, was a bit taken aback by that, was a bit aggrieved by the fact that the fans they booed us, said we don't know what we're doing, and chanted Matty's name. And I'm a bit aggrieved because he had a chest infection. Was it a chest infection he had?
Said he had a chest infection.
Had a chest infection and he got stuck in Spain. Whoa, Mr.
Portugal.
Rusk. Whoa. Sorry, same, innit? All the same. Whoa, Mr. Rusk. Didn't you sit at a press conference on Thursday and say, we've got a clean bill of health, everyone's good? That was him, wasn't it?
Yep, same man.
Yeah. So which is it? Did he have a chest infection or did they have a clean bill of health and everyone was okay? Because if you don't want to be booed for taking Matty Fernandez off, maybe tell the fans he's had a chest infection and he's been stuck in Portugal because of the power cuts. I didn't know that Portugal had power anyway. I thought everything was powered by donkeys. You can't. If you're going to do that, if you think that's a thing, then you need to put that out there in the first instance. You can't use it as an excuse. I used to tell this I say this to my children. I said to my staff. If you tell me after the fact, it's not a reason. It's an excuse at that point. If you tell me before the fact, it's a reason. You have to tell me before the fact, right? It sounds like an excuse. And took him off for the previous game as well. So,
which ultimately cost us again.
Being stuck in Portugal isn't really the issue because that didn't happen the week before. So I watched it, and I'll be quite honest with you, the only thing that we had to be proud of for that whole performance yesterday, yet again, was the away fans. The only thing.
100%. I think I tweeted it last night. We can use all the adjectives that we have used between now and the end of the start of the season, or when we started doing this show, and it's all been embarrassing, pathetic. I don't know what words to use anymore. It was
fucking dog shit. Is the words to use.
Like, I was trying to avoid saying that. I'll at least try and be PG. I just don't get it. I don't get it at all. I don't think that I'm not going to necessarily blame Ross Stewart up front because, like you said, he didn't get service. It's a game that pride. You talked about the fans and stuff. I wasn't there either. I actually enjoyed a day with my family yesterday. went and ate some lunch, bought some cake, went home, and sat there watching the climax to League One. If anyone hasn't seen what happened with Bradford, it is hilarious. But it's shower shit is an understatement. It was worse. And for those who haven't seen it, and I'm going to give a shout out to Football Martin here, go and watch his match day vlog from yesterday, because you get a sense of how toxic that away end got when these decisions were made. You get a proper sense of it. And he comes out with a very passionate, love Football Martin, he comes out with a very passionate rant at the end of it. And he is 100% on the money. It's done. Like, again, so he's someone else like we have that comes out and calls, why are we playing 5 at the back? Oh, wait, we're playing 5 at the back again. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? And I don't know how else we can describe it anymore.
I think there's a couple of things, you've put statistics down here, right? I mean, I'm not going to read all the words you've written, but it fuels my rage, and I'm glad today. We had 8 shots, 2 on target all game, and those ones on target weren't great, let's be honest. Leicester had 14 shots, 4 on target. That's not a lot for a team playing at home, right? It's not a lot for a team playing at home. 14 shots, 4 on goal.
No, but let's be honest, they weren't great either. When I half the time watching that game, I thought it was almost like League One standard.
So let's talk about goal one, right? Goal one, Jamie Vardy scores his 199th goal for Leicester. I know everyone hates him. I actually hope he gets 200 goals for Leicester before the end of the season, because he stayed and he's played and he played all the way through the Championship for them. He's won the league with them. I know he's a shithouse. I know he is.
He's one of those, isn't he? You hate playing against him, but you'd love him if he was.
You'd love it if he was wearing a Saints shirt. He'd be a hero.
Oh, 100%.
And he scored a fantastic goal yesterday. The finish was beautiful, but
he had the freedom of Leicester around him when he hit it.
He honestly, he could have taken an hour. I don't think a defender would have got near him. So, and this is part and parcel and part of the problem of the formation and the set out, the layout that we have. So when you play 5 at the back with wing backs, you play 2 central defensive midfielders, you play 2 wingers, not wingers, right? So, okay, Camaldine, you could argue is a winger, potentially.
You could argue he's not a footballer.
I would argue that Fernandes is more of a 10 than a winger.
Yes.
Okay. So when you're talking about that right-hand side of the pitch, typically and traditionally, Matty Fernandes is going to sit slightly more central than he is on the wing. So when a break happens on Leicester's left-hand side, or any team's left-hand side for that matter, what's going to happen? We've seen this all season. What's going to happen is Kyle Walker-Peters is going to push up and cover that gap, and he should. And then what should happen is you drop to a back 4. So Kyle Walker-Peters pushes up, the right centre-back goes to right back, the centre-back goes to right centre-back, the left centre-back goes to left centre-back, and then the left-back stays left-back. And you go a little bit of a shuffle across. And game upon game upon game upon game, Walker-Peters pushes forward, the man on the right-hand side pushes out to cover that gap, and the 2 in the middle are just kind of bimbling around. And if you look at, after the goal, an interaction that happens between Jack Stevens and Jan Bednarak, and Jan Bednarak has a go at Stevens because he's come across to cover his man and looks behind him as the ball gets played past him, and there Vardy is in the open and Stevens is nowhere near him. Nowhere near him. Club captain, nowhere near him. And I saw on social media a couple of people say, Stevens had a couple of good games, so he's probably due a howler. Again, how can a professional who has been selected as our club captain not string 3 games together? Unbelievable. And that's the reason why Vardy has acres of space, and he smashes it. And to be fair, he doesn't need acres of space. He takes the ball first time, puts it in top. It's a beautiful finish. It is a good finish, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a good finish.
Right? It is a good finish. And then when we talk about the second goal, now there's probably not anything that the keeper can do about that second goal. Poor free kick hits the wall, comes back out to the same free kick taker, looks frustrated, swings a leg at it, goes in the bottom corner. Right?
Good finish, to be fair.
It is a good finish. At that point, the keeper's got the whole of everything in front of him. He probably sees it late. But why did we give that free kick away in the first place? It was Jack Stevens who gave a pointless free kick away again in a stupid position. And if you give free kicks away in those kinds of positions, there are teams out there that can punish you. And he did. And he did it again. He hit a beautiful strike. He did. But I was talking to you on the way over here. Vardy is obviously a dangerous player in and around the box. We've known that for a long time.
The last 20 years, yeah.
Yeah, he's a 38-year-old striker who's still dangerous in and around the box. He's the same age as me. I couldn't run for the amount of time he runs for, nor could I hit a ball like that with my left foot. If I'd have been at the King Power Stadium where he was and the ball came to me like that and I swung my left foot, it would have landed in St Mary's. Right? You've then got the other guy, the winger, El
Khanous.
El Khanous, thank you. He looks dangerous. He looks aggressive. He's willing to take players on. And there's players in and around that. And let's be frank. Like, I'm sorry if you're a Leicester fan. They don't look great. They don't look great. They've been relegated just above Southampton. They're not great.
We say just above. There's still 10 points between the two of us.
But what I'm saying is they're 19th position as opposed to our 20th, right? But when you look at the Saints lineup, Matty Fernandes isn't an electric player. He's exceptional. He's very good. He can create, but he's not electric.
No.
He's not beating people. He's not hitting the byline. He's not a Messi or Ronaldo. I think he can play a defence-splitting pass. But who's he playing it to? Who's he playing it to? Camel Dean, who's one of the fastest players in the league, supposedly, who is only a fast player in the league when he can be bothered.
Yeah.
When he can be bothered. And sometimes he'll take a player on and you watch him skin a left back or a right back. You're like, oh, Jesus. And then you'll go, do that again. Nah, I don't fancy it again. I've done it once.
I honestly thought that we took Jack Stevens off at half time and honestly thought we'd throw the kitchen sink at it. Go forward at the back, because it works quite well. We've looked okay and we played forward at the back and throw the kitchen sink at it. And we just seem to go through the motions.
But this is what I'm saying, Ash. We like Ross Stewart. I mean, he's not fit, is he? He's not match fit.
Not match fit. No.
You know, he needs to get fit. I mean, he needs to stop getting fucking injured in the first instance. He needs to get fit. He doesn't. I don't know if this is just me. Sometimes, do you ever have this thing, right? This is a genuine question. And I asked this question to you in chat as well. By the way, Football Martin, I see you in chat. Thanks for watching, dude. We're always going to give you a shout out because you're great. And you gave us one earlier. It's fair, isn't it? But do you ever look at a footballer or a player and you go, he doesn't look much like a footballer? And do you ever look at a player and go, he's a footballer? Do you ever do that?
Yeah.
Do you ever look at a player and go, he looks like he could be a bit Andy him? And you look at another one and you go, he doesn't look like he's going to be all that. Do you do that?
Yeah, of course I do.
I look at Ross Stewart and I think, have you fed him in the last 6 months?
See, this is where we differ on Ross Stewart, and I'm not going to. Someone's actually, one of our delightful followers asked us to say if Ross Stewart would make an impact next season. So I suppose we can almost ask that question now. I've seen Ross Stewart play in the Championship. I've seen him play in Scottish football in the low levels of the English leagues.
Is Scottish football?
I mean, they kick a ball about, so we can call it that. I don't know. Maybe it's just a branch of the Highland Games thing. I don't know. But before he got injured, before he came to us, he was scoring goals for fun. He wasn't scoring goals for fun. He looked like a very dangerous striker, and he's someone who I know. If he can get back to that sharp, it's a big if. There's a lot of ifs, isn't there?
Of course.
If he can get back to that sharpness, he'll be a very dangerous player for us next season. It's another if. Again, going to shout out Football Martin because he's in there. He said on Twitter today, if Cameron Archer had been given a run of games, potentially in the lower division, he could do well. There's a lot of ifs.
So there is a lot of ifs, right? And I agree on the Cam Archer point. I think Cam Archer has been very badly mismanaged this season.
Oh, 100%.
That being said, how many goals did he get last season in the Premiership, Ash? Sorry, Premier League.
4.
How many goals has he got this season?
3.
So he's basically achieved the same. Let's be honest. Right, he's achieved the same. I don't think he's a Premier League striker. Now, I think if you think of a front two pairing of a fit and in-form Ross Stewart and potentially a fit and in-form Cam Archer up front in the Championship, it could be a very dangerous pairing.
Yeah, agreed.
My problem comes with what happens if you then get promoted? Because I think one of the biggest mistakes we've made this season is we've gone a lot into the whole they got us here so they deserve a chance ethos. We've been not nostalgic, sentimental.
You need to be ruthless. You have to be. You cannot be. It can kind of work. And we discussed this on the way over again. You can go from, we did it in the League One, went from League One to the Championship, and we were quite sentimental towards those players. And then we went from the Championship to the Premier League. And if you remember, I know he eventually became good, he was good in the Premier League, but the first thing Nigel Ladkin did when we got into the Premier League, we started away at Manchester City, and everyone looked at Lamp and went, he's dropped Ricky Lambert. Why has he done that? I need people to be athletic. I need people to run. Ricky Lambert wasn't that player. Ricky Lambert got goals for us in the Premier League. He didn't get 20-odd goals. He got sort of 10, 12. I think his highest goal season was like 13. Fine. You have to be ruthless when you get in top division. We've said it on this show many a times. We spoke about it less than an hour ago. We got onto that flipping tube when we got up from Wembley and went, right, we need to invest. We need to do this, 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 and this. We're sat with, essentially, with a few extras, the same crop of players that got us promoted last year. And that's where we've gone wrong, because we've gone, do you know what? We'll go away to Newcastle or Leicester's or anything. And, we just, you have that moment of you're playing and you brought on Smallbone instead of Lallana at home to Leicester. Knackered things. Brought on other players, knackered things. Someone there, David just said there, we were not sending him out about Nigel Cantons. We sacked him, probably at the time. Everyone was furious. Me and you were both furious when we sacked him. But we moved on as a football club. And now we've just...
We did invest in the summer, to be clear as well.
In shit.
Exactly that. That's my problem. We did invest. Sentimentally. Taylor Harwood-Bellis actually looked okay at the start of the season, got an England call-up, fallen to shit.
Biggest disappointment so far.
He cares more about where his next move is going to be to continue his England career, hence he changed his agent, than just actually about playing for the football club. That's a fact. Jack Stevens as a club captain is an embarrassment, right? Jan Bednarak, I know he's got a relegation clause, I think, in his contract this time around. I'd be sad to see him go, but let's face it, he's been part of a central defensive lineup that has now got us relegated twice.
And also lost 2-9-0 twice.
Thank you, Yanni B. Thank you so much. See you later. It sounds harsh. But
you have to think about the point from his point of view as well, and this is
the point I'm going to is, what was our defensive lineup last year, Ash?
Same one we got now.
Same team we got now. Did we still realistically ship a load of goals for fun in the Championship?
Conceded 63.
So, did we think that just putting $100,000 a week on a goalkeeper was going to save that problem? Of course it wasn't. One moron thought that was fixing the issue of those three centre backs conceding frequently. And I feel a little bit sorry for Ramsdale. I feel less sorry for him when I found out he's on $100,000 a week, but I feel a little bit sorry for Ramsdale for getting relegated for the fourth time, because he has had no protection. He's not a bad goalkeeper. He looks like a terrible goalkeeper because he's been relegated repeatedly. So he looks like a terrible goalkeeper, and he's conceded a metric shit ton this season. But I feel a little bit sorry for him because he's had no protection, and there's occasions where there's shots happening and there's just defenders in disarray, don't know where they should be.
Yeah, I get your point.
I do feel sorry for him. We then brought in Flynn Downs. I'll hold my hands up. Very happy when we announced that we signed Flynn Downs. Very happy, because I thought he was really solid last season, one of our better players.
Yep.
I think he could do a job in the Premier League. I genuinely still believe this, but he needs more time and he needs experience around him. We don't have it. Campbell Dean, get him in the bin. Not interested. He's not interested. He doesn't care.
He's not been interested since he's been here, really.
He's not been interested since the transfer window shut. Let's be honest. We had a brief spark for him when the transfer window was open.
I'm not arguing with him.
And I'm sorry. I know it has been a joke and a meme for a while, but Paul Onuachu is a donkey in a football kit.
But he's best. He's the best. He's best. He's the best of what we've got.
He's not the best. He's not. Just because he's put the ball to the back of the net 4 times doesn't make him the best.
It does in terms of goals.
I mean, okay, all right, I'm going to rephrase this. Maybe it makes him the best. It doesn't make him good, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying he's good. I'm saying he's the best of what we've got.
You can have 7 different piles of animal shit, and one of them might be the best. They're still all shit.
Depends whether one's runny or solid, or whichever one.
But they're still all shit, Ash, aren't they? Let's be honest. Okay,
that'll be the highlight of the show.
So let's come away from the players for a brief moment and talk about the management team. Ruskin Lallana made some changes yesterday. So at half time, we took Jack Stevens off. He was having a howler. That was the right call. And we took Ross Stewart off, which I thought was a little unfair because
he wasn't getting any service.
He wasn't getting any service. What is Ross Stewart? He is a relatively tall target man. Right? That's essentially what he is, realistically. He's not really a sprinter. He's not really going to run to through balls. He's a bit of a big target man. Think your old like James Beattie style player is what I would probably place Ross Stewart, to be honest with you. So that wasn't working. So we took him off. We put on Paul. What's Paul as a striker?
Big target man.
Big target man. We did like for like. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you have taken off Jack Stevens and then put on Paul Onuachu up front and played 2 up front? 2 target men. 1 target man's not quite working. Let's give them some real problems and pump balls up. That's what they should have done. They didn't. Or you take off Jack Stevens and you put on Cam Archer and you go, you know what? Stewart and Archer might be our partnership next season. Let's get them working together now. He did like for like. When we took Jack Stevens off, he brought on... name. Give me a name.
I've gone blank.
Yeah.
I've generally gone blank.
The young lad.
No, Jay Robinson came on in later on in the game. I can't remember who he put Jack Stevens off for now. I've gone completely blank.
I think it's just trauma management in my mind.
It is trauma management. It's awful. It's because obviously he brought Smallbone on as well, didn't he? He brought Smallbone on and started playing Smallbone.
Smallbone was the guy who came on for Matty Fernandez. I'd take a sick Matty Fernandez over anyone else in the team. And the other thing I want to say very quickly is the Smallbone change did get booed, and it did get booed. And it was followed by chants of "You don't know what you're doing." Okay, Dibbling, thank you.
There you go. I was looking it up.
Another player who looks flat disinterested. And I get the Smallbone got booed and he got "You don't know what you're doing." I feel a little bit sorry for Smallbone, to be honest with you. Remembering he's a Saints Academy player, right?
Yeah.
We're not booing Smallbone. We're not, though, are we? We're booing the decision
Not
to
the
take
first
Fernando
time it's happened when we're booing the changes, and I actually find it quite insulting when Russ turned around and said, what's the word? He turned around and said, "Oh, I'm really struggling to understand. I can't really get the perception of that change because you've been there." And Cameron said it, guys. We are really trying to keep up with chat, but it's actually quite busy tonight. So bear with us. If you got a point you really want to get across, just slap it on a super chat, and we'll get to it at the end of the show. Cameron has said, "Where is it? Russ has been part of the problem for the season," and he's right. Russ has been in that coaching team for the majority of the season, so you have to also put that in the same side. I just got no words for it.
When we make a new management appointment at the start of this, whenever that happens,
it needs to be sooner rather than later.
I think it needs to be sooner rather than later. I would be inclined to let Rusk go. We need the clear out. I think needs to be monumental. Someone has said in the chat earlier that actually the problems start at the top. We'll go into this in just a moment because there's been some changes at the club in the last week. Johan Spors is starting to get both of his hands on the neck, and he's starting to grip and squeeze, and he's starting to make some of his changes and do some of the things that we were hoping he would start to do, and starting to put some things in place ready for next season. We'll talk about them in just a moment. He is actually finally bringing football people in football positions, which is a nice change for this club, at least in later time. But the substitutions were poor, right? Let's be honest. Dibbling was a bit better than what we'd had on. Again, I think you take off Jack Stevens, you don't need to take off Ross Stewart. You could take off Jack Stevens, you could put Dibbling on. You could put Dibbling on. Here's what I would have done. Actually, it's not a bad shout. You take off Ross Stewart. You take off Jack Stevens. You put Dibbling on the right. You keep Campbell on the left. You put Matty Fernandez just behind Ross Stewart. You actually play a 4-5-1, and then your instruction to specifically Fernandez is feed those other three and press the line. I also really don't like right-footed players on left and left-footed players on the right. I hate it. I don't mind. That's a lie, actually. I don't mind it if you have a fast striker to break the line. I hate it when you've got a target man, because what happens is you go, well, I could hit the byline and try and swing my weak foot at it for a cross that might not go anywhere near the head of the striker, who's the tall target man, or I could cut back, and they all cut back. So when you've got a tall striker on the pitch, swap positions, hit the byline, use your strong foot, get a fucking early cross in. We don't do it.
But what we also don't do, as we said already, is you've mentioned the changes, and we could have gone so many different ways. We don't throw the flipping kitchen sink at it either.
We don't throw the kitchen sink at it.
I don't get it, because I was watching some of the League One football yesterday, and you're watching Bradford pile Mems forward, and you're watching Walsall throw men at the back because they're trying to hold on to a decision, and you got all these bits and pieces going, and you're like, oh my God, it's mad. We don't do that.
Ash, in the 85th to 90th minute today, Liverpool were losing 2-1 to Chelsea, and Van Dijk went up front. Liverpool don't need any points. They've won the league. And he's like, I don't want to lose this game. It's a nothing game for them. And he went, I'm going up front, we're going to try and score. And granted, they then gave a penalty away and Chelsea won 3-1. But not the point. Liverpool went, no, not happy with this result. We want to get at least a point out of this. And they've got nothing to prove. They've won the league. Right? Yeah. And we can't do that. We don't do that. And then, after what was probably the most unimpressive game I've seen this season, the most embarrassing performance from a team wearing that badge I think I've ever seen. Genuinely that I've ever seen. Yeah. Right? And we followed them down to League One last time. They went all the way down there. We watched them get relegated twice. And that was probably the worst I've ever seen yesterday. By far. Okay? And I feel like we've said that a few times this season. And I think this one takes the biscuit.
I think today, I'd be interested to know chat's opinion. But I think yesterday,
Let us know.
Out of the season in the whole, I think
Yeah.
yesterday was the most embarrassing
Let us
result.
know what you think, chat. To be honest with you,
Let
us know what you think, chat. To be honest with you, and Ash is right what he said earlier. You can stick on a super chat if you put something on a colourful postcard, as we call them, or a super chat. I will read them out at the end and we'll answer your questions. You can also become a member. Don't forget we've got that members competition running live. If you want to become a member, it supports the stream, it supports the channel. It's going to support us next season, getting to more games, so we can give you more information, rundowns, etc. I've got big dreams of the Saints Network eventually having a seat in the media box and doing post-match interviews, and all. That's where we're going to go, right? That's the future. So you can become a member, or you can gift memberships. That's how you support us doing that and getting to that goal in the future. But so that was the most embarrassing performance I think I've ever seen, and I thought at that point it couldn't maybe really get any worse, right? Then Taylor Howard-Bellis did an interview.
Oh God, yeah.
Did you read the interview, Ash, or listen to the interview?
I read the interview and I got the gist of it, and I've just put the one quote down.
Do you want to read it out for me?
So it's I believe the gist of it was he said, "Oh, we're not gonna we play better against the big teams, and we're not gonna just lay back and get rolled over."
You mean like you have every time you played a big team so far?
Yeah.
So
Every single time.
How many games have we won against the big teams?
None.
How many games have we drawn against the big teams?
None.
So what we're saying is, so far, we've lost against all of the big teams.
I believe, if I remember rightly, we've scored 7 and conceded 33.
That sounds a bit like fucking rolling over, doesn't it?
It sounds a little bit like rolling over.
It sounds like you're not performing very well against the big teams at all, actually.
It does, yeah.
Absolute, utter moron.
And I suppose the best thing that we've got to prove that would be a Manchester City team who are fighting for Champions League place with Kevin De Bruyne on his final swan song and Haaland back fit and Rodri back fit.
Yeah, well, De Bruyne scored yesterday, didn't he, as well, to get them that 1-0 win. Was it yesterday or Friday?
No, it's yesterday.
It was yesterday. He scored that 1-0 win, which now has put them in third place. And it's still going on up there in the top of the league.
Yeah, it's amazing because Arsenal are going to finish third in a 2-horse race. They're doing well.
Good old Arsenal. It's possible, actually, as well. Chelsea up to 4th now, joint with Newcastle. So actually, City's place in the Champions League spot is not secured unless they win games. So next week isn't actually a dead rubber for City. It's an important game. It is, isn't it?
Yeah,
Let's be honest.
yeah.
It is an important game.
If they carry on the way they're going, it could be an important game for Arsenal. No?
I honestly think they're going to get battered. And I think that was an embarrassing thing to say in an interview. Like, legitimately embarrassing thing to say in an interview. Thank you for you people that have been chucking some money at us. You're amazing humans. Other news. It could be forgiven, potentially, of Dragonstone, like if this was actually a thing. TalkSport reported earlier in the week that Southampton Football Club were potentially, or rumoured to be, up for sale, which is interesting. Now, this is interesting because I'd heard something had been told to me a few weeks ago. In fact, the night I was at the Legends event with Letitia, Benali and James Beattie, my new best friends, when I was at that Legends event, I actually put the pictures up that I got from that event yesterday because I was like, I want to think about some Saints players I actually respected and cared about. But it was told to me at that Legends event, not by one of them, I might add, that the club was going to be going up for sale. And I got asked to say nothing. Please don't say anything yet, it's not public knowledge. I was like, okay, all right, cool. I told you. Do you remember I told you?
Yeah, you did tell me, yeah.
Cool, perfect. And then it came out, TalkSport this week, Simon Jordan. And it's Simon Jordan, you need to add a pinch of salt because it's Simon Jordan. And sometimes he says some great things and sometimes he's a knob. But he says they're up for sale. That was a rumour. It sounds like Alfie House has come out and said that. So, like I said privately, he has no interest in selling, and it has reaffirmed he wants to stay and he wants to make this club work. He's become very passionate about this club, and I really want to believe it. And I think if you think about what's happened at the top of the club over the course of this season, I think he sees that he's made some errors.
Yes,
I think they're making changes to put the structure back into a position, or the position that it sort of should be.
Yes.
But it has been rumoured. I can't see why, unless he's flat just cutting his losses, any club owner would want to contemplate selling a club after this last season, because surely it's going to be at rock bottom value.
This obviously broke. When did it break? It broke Monday morning. I think it was Monday morning, Monday or Tuesday. And obviously it's been circling social media for a good few days now.
Yeah.
Now, you're right. You have to take it a bit of a bit of a pinch of salt with Simon Jordan. I actually quite like Simon Jordan. To be fair, I like listening to what he says. He talks a lot of sense. But again, you've got to look at the scenario. And the thing that Alfie came across with was a degree was obviously everything is for sale at its right price. I'd sell my children at the right price, Christ. So when you look at where he is right now, if someone came in, if the football club's worth, I think they've quoted sort of £125 million. If someone came in and offered him £300 million, of course he's going to take that. No one's going to.
But that's not putting the club up for sale.
But it's not putting the club up for sale. It would be I'm not a businessman as such. I understand how to run a business to a degree. I understand how to run things to a profitable situation. But what I wouldn't do is put a club up for sale when it's on a massive downward spiral at the moment, because we'll discuss it later. Yesterday, I watched Luton get relegated twice in 2 seasons. I'm genuinely concerned at the moment that's what we're going to do. I genuinely am concerned that we well and truly could be in that scrap next year, because the Championship is going to be a lot stronger next year than it is this year. Granted, there's no Leeds and no Burnley, but it's going to be a lot stronger.
I
think that worries me.
I think the Championship is the most difficult league in the world. I think it's the most difficult league to compete in the world.
I think it's the most difficult league to compete in terms of selling the club. Why is he going to want to get rid of a club? If he was going to sell it, he would do it. He would have done it 6 months ago.
So the only thing I can think of is after the absolute terror of a season that we've had, the only thing I can think of logically in my brain, I run a business, as you know. I'm about to launch another business. The only thing I can think of is he's looking at this situation and he's going, the only way we get out of this situation is if I pump more money in. And I don't want to do that. So at this point, I'll take the L, I'll take the loss, and I'll sell the club. And if I can, they bought it for what, 100 million?
I don't know. Honestly, I tried to research. I didn't find out.
If I can make nothing or break even at least on the sale cost, I'll just cut my losses.
That's
the only thing I can think of, because it doesn't make any sense otherwise.
We've discussed this a lot. You've got to be careful what you wish for. Cameron, I've seen your question. Would you take Simon Jordan?
I would.
I wouldn't.
I would.
Because if Simon Jordan's in charge of the football club, it's all about him. It's not about the team. It's all about him. Not unless he's backed by either Elon Musk or some really rich Saudi oil baron.
Simon Jordan also doesn't like losing, and he also likes making money.
Well, someone should have told him that when he was in charge of the football club.
Well, yeah, quite. I don't think, Saints fans, I don't think we're going to see a club sale anytime soon. If he was looking at getting rid of the club, if Dragon Select was looking at getting rid of the club legitimately, I wouldn't see it happening until, if we get promoted again next season, that would be the time I would see him doing it. Because at that point, he's selling a Premier League club, which makes it worth more, right? Or it would have happened at the winter. It wouldn't. I don't think we're going to see it now. I think we're safe that he's going to continue in charge of the club. And I, you know, there's been a lot going on actually, if you think about it. So, not only has he made himself chairman, as we know, around the Christmas period, and there's been some changes to the board of directors, etc. But Johan Spors came in as the director of football, and he's been making changes himself. At the same time, Johan Spors, how would you say it?
Johan Spors, but remember, it's not director of football; it's technical director.
Technical director, same, but different, right? He's going through his own things at the moment. Is Solak going to bring someone like him in, who has then started conducting managerial interviews? So we've been told that Steven Gerrard's not being pursued as an option. I'm kind of glad about that. I'll be honest.
Me too. Yeah.
Apparently, Will Still has been interviewed.
That's the rumor that we're hearing. Yes.
That's interesting. For him to be interviewed does show that he must have had an interest in the role. And it might be that we offer him a job and he goes, I actually don't fancy it because I've come and looked at your facilities and I'm not a fan. But for him to have been interviewed, he has shown some interest in the role. So we've been told Will Still, Lon's manager currently, has been interviewed. He was also on Monday Night Football a couple of weeks ago, spoke quite impressively. He's then brought a load of people in. So we have got a raft of names who have joined the football club. Elliot Stapley has joined as the assistant technical director, who's going to be the assistant technical director to the wider group, but based at Staplewood. Nicola Layden, head of international scouting. Don't know why. No one wants a woman in football. Go on, say the bit you said earlier.
It could be a man because of Nicola Cortese.
I know, it's a joke, Ash. It's a joke. That's the whole point. And then, so we've got a head of international scouting, and then we've got Andy Goldie, who's the academy director, who's had an internal promotion to director of group talent strategy. Lots of fancy names.
That's on top of the person whose name completely escapes me, who is put in charge of scouting a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I can't remember her name now. But
Dave.
Yeah, Dave. Dave will do. Yeah.
So there's shuffling in the team, a group assistant technical director, and then the other one. If you think about director of group talent strategy and head of international scouting, that's about bringing in the right talent and nurturing them in the right way. Which, let's face it, is not what we have done previously. We have not been in a position where we've been bringing in the right people in this football club, specifically at playing staff level. We just haven't. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, and hindsight's always 20/20.
Yeah.
But I actually think we were lucky to get promoted last year. And I actually now look at that group of players and go, they were lucky to get promoted.
Again, last year we finished 4th in a 3-horse race.
Yeah,
so
quite.
in terms of where we are, look, I think the managerial one is obviously, it's interesting now. Every time we've done it, I've always said there's plenty of football to be played. Sheffield Wednesday obviously finished their season yesterday away at Watford, who were absolutely loving the fact that Luton relegated. I can't talk about it. Yeah, that relegated.
Yeah.
Relegated. Like
Throw your words there, Ash.
Stoppage time. Yeah, sorry, I'm having issues.
It's not.
It's been a long day. So in terms of the appointments that we've got going, look, Danny Rowell is obviously still the favourite, and there was a lot of language that he came out with yesterday at the end of the game, which was back to the "I'll never forget my time here," etc.
So let's be clear: Danny Rowell's leaving Sheffield Wednesday.
We know that.
What we don't know is if he's definitely coming to Southampton Football Club.
We don't, and it's interesting to hear.
If the club are interviewing Will Steele and that other guy we spoke about last week, whose name escapes me now, that weird
Ramsey.
one from America.
Yeah,
that means that they're also not 100% sure he's coming here.
But I think look, a lot of this is rumoured. It's all ifs and buts and maybes. And I've just seen, I think it's Riley in the chat there. Riley's with Mia tonight about Will Steele being a good appointment. I think that he would be a good appointment in the Championship level. He would be brilliant. But you've made the right point. He would be stepping down, and they said be stepping down from Lens, who are 8th, 9th in the French league at the moment, to potentially come to a Championship club. They need to get this next. For me, this next appointment is even more important than when they appointed Russell Martin. This next appointment is absolutely massive.
You said it last week. It's make or break.
It is make or break. They could go down the route. So when Luton got relegated from the Premier League, they left Rob Edwards in charge because he'd taken them there. And it backfired this season. And they made the change. They made the play change really late. They brought in Matt Bloomfield, who didn't have a lot of experience at the Championship. And they've now paid the price and gone down. And to be honest, they were lucky to not gone down earlier because they won 3 games in a row and then lost yesterday. This next appointment has to be nailed on.
I'm going to go on a bit of a side quest here for just a second.
As always.
Do you think, coming from mid-table Bundesliga, mid-table Serie A, mid-table Liga, mid-table La Liga, to the Championship is that much of a step down? Because I'll tell you why I'm asking this question. Because I don't think it is. Because I think that getting a Premier League job from mid-table in any of those leagues is quite difficult. Because most Premier League clubs want some form of proven manager. Because the Premier League is ruthless and cutthroat and lethal.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of those managers, if they're going to get a chance in the Premier League, there's 2 real ways they can, maybe 3 real ways they can do it. Let's start on the third way. The third way is they perform exceptionally in their current leagues and they finish first, second position, Champions League runs, etc. And I think that's when Premier League clubs will look at them. The other 2 ways, I think, involve coming into the English League at Championship level, at a club that's has the potential, perhaps has the pedigree to be promoted, or perform well enough to get themselves a Premier League job. So they might take on a club like Southampton, who might get into the playoffs, lose in the final, and a team in the Premier League goes, he was actually really good at Southampton, they just don't have the right players, I fancy having a punt on him at a Tottenham or something, you know. I feel that's the 3 routes into English football to the top flight. And I feel like if you're playing for Lens, managing Lens, who are 7th, 8th in Liga, that might be the route where you go, if Johan Spors during the interview process is showing me the ambition to bounce straight back up and you're going to have 60 million quid to spend and you're going to have and maybe he goes, okay.
I'm going to completely count. So you asked me, do I think that coming from sort of mid-table French, Spanish, Dutch, do they see it as a step down to the Championship? I think with a lot of those roles, and I'm going to surprise a lot of people here, I think it's actually a step up.
I agree.
To go to the Championship.
No, I agree with you.
Because although you're right, the Premier League is brutal, it's unforgiving. The Championship is brutal. It's unforgiving in a completely different way. The Premier League, you lose the ball, it goes in, you lose, shots go in, etc., etc. You talk about Liga for a chance. No one else is winning that league other than PSG, although they did finally lose their unbeaten season yesterday away at Strasbourg, but they did make a load of changes because of the Champions League. You look at the managers that have come over from Holland, Germany. I mean, Germany, obviously, Bayern Munich have won the league, and it's the same in this country. But when you've got when you look at Liga, you look at the Bundesliga, you look at La Liga, Serie A, even the Turkish Super League, all of those teams, and you go from 1 to 20 or 1 to 18, the teams that are down the bottom wouldn't fit in the Championship in this country.
No.
So for them, they know they've got. Let's talk. Spain's a bit different. Let's talk France. You've got PSG. You've got Brest this year, who've been doing really well. Maybe
I like Brest.
I love Brest. Really attractive up top. I've lost my train of thought now. So you're looking at the teams that are there, and they know they've probably got 3-4 hard games.
Yeah.
In the Championship, you get a really dogged fight, 1-1 draw away at Stoke at a weekend. You get a last minute equaliser, fine. And the Championship's reward is go, well done guys, got another game on Tuesday.
Yeah, off you go again.
And then you're like, oh, okay, I'll struggle. And you go, okay, good. You struggled on that one. Another game on Saturday, and it's a 12:30 kickoff. And then you're playing again Tuesday, and we're going to throw in the League Cup. And suddenly, in the Championship, you just look at all the teams that are in the Championship. And I know we don't know it all when we get onto it later. There's still one team to be confirmed for the Championship. Well, 4, technically. But every team that you go away in the Championship, you're not going away to play in front of 5,000-6,000 people. You're going away to stadiums full of teams. And when you get to the Championship next year, and we'll do a preview show for the Championship, there's 24 teams in that Championship, and 21 of them roughly will be going. We want to be going for promotion this year. Mm-hmm. How can you compete with that?
Again, I think it's becoming. I think my personal opinion is this is going to become slightly controversial. I think because people will say, "Of course you think that because you're now in the Championship." But I've thought this for a while. My personal opinion is money has trashed the Premier League. Sorry, I keep calling it Premiership tonight. I don't know why. I've done it for ages. Money and greed has trashed
the masses.
Money and greed has trashed the Premier League, right? And I now believe that the Championship has become the most exciting league in the world, personally speaking. If you look at yesterday, it's the most exciting league in the world, right? It just is. It's exciting because a couple of weeks ago, there was still any number of teams that could have automatically been promoted. There was still any number of teams that could have been automatically relegated, right? It was the relegation was decided on the last day. And we still had teams on the last day fighting for those playoff spots. It took Leeds yesterday to win the league. Brentford came second.
Burnley.
Burnley, came second.
Yes.
With 100 points.
And they were winning it up until the last minute.
100 points and they came second. What a league.
Sheffield United have come third with 90.
What a league that is. Sheffield United have come third with 90 and have now potentially got 3 games to play to go up.
And they're on bad run of form.
What a league, right? Incredible league. There were times when we looked at teams like Pompey at bottom, and now they're safe. Just anyone can play anyone in that league, and anyone can win. And I think that makes it the most exciting league in football in general. I think it's more. I genuinely believe. So we also have to differentiate the difference between what's most exciting and what's the highest standard. So, some of the football played in the Premier League is of a higher standard. Some of the football played by people like PSG, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich is of a higher standard. But it doesn't make it necessarily more exciting because there are teams in most of those leagues where those teams like Bayern Munich, like Inter Milan, like PSG will go, well, that's a win. Very rarely does an upset happen, and that's the top flight of that league. Okay, the Championship, and to be fair, let's be honest, arguably that happens in the Premier League this season. Arguably, how many teams do you think have actually been fearful of Southampton coming to their stadium this season? But I'm being serious, right? We know we've been embarrassingly bad, but how many teams do you think when Saints are travelling up to the Tottenham Stadium? And let's face it. They're not high up the league, are they? Let's be honest.
No.
But let's take any team in the top half of the table. How many teams do you think have gone, Southampton are coming, we've got to be careful here? Because they've got a couple of dangerous players on a break. They've been going,
3 points.
Southampton are going, have a week off training. We don't need to.
You know exactly what we're going to do. You know exactly who we're going to play.
So we're talking about the Premier League now, arguably starting to have some of the problems. I say starting to over the course of the last few years, starting to have some of the problems that exist in Bundesliga, exist in Serie A, exist in Liga, and some of the reasons why we have suggested in the past, at least, that the Premier League was more exciting than these leagues because these other leagues had real top teams that competed in Europe and Champions League every single year. You see the same teams in the Champions League from France, from Germany, from Spain, typically, right?
Yeah.
And we look at some of the fixtures and we go, we know who's winning that game 99 times out of 100. And the odd upset, of course, it exists, but it's not exciting and tense all the time. And the Premier League is now in that place. And the Championship isn't. And the Championship is still in a place where bottom can play top, and bottom you're going, they've got a chance. They've got a chance.
I think to be fair, you could probably say it. I mean, I know that Birmingham ran away with League One this year, but that was a very different, unique situation. I think you say that in a lot of the Football League.
I think if we went down to League One and spent 60 million quid, we'd probably run away with it. Like Birmingham bought the league.
Of course I did.
It's exactly it's the same reason why Wrexham been promoted again. If you take a mediocre to average football club in a low league and pump loads of money into it, it probably does well. I think Wrexham. I genuinely believe this. I think Wrexham are in for a shock next season.
I put this in our members thing in Discord, guys. If you've become a member, you can get into our members section in Discord. And a lot of people were quite shocked. There are some people that I've spoken to that have said Wrexham will be challenging at the top. And I think the Championship is going to be a very, very tight league next year in terms of the challenges. However, I think you're right when it comes to Wrexham. I think they're going to be in for a bit of a shock. Because the thing is, it's all well and good them turning up, and I know they've been consistent in the Championship the League One this year. You have to remember their hardest game would have been Birmingham. There's Mansfield and Crawley and teams like that in League One. I'm not trying to put a disservice to those teams, but there's a stark difference in having your worst game being against. I can't even remember who finished bottom of League One now. Being against whoever it is, to then being right. Okay, well, actually, do you know what? Yeah, you've got to play this game, but the teams that have just survived, Hull, Derby, Stoke, Preston, there are teams that they're not always going to roll over. You look at Preston. Preston were fine up until the FA Cup run. It had a bit of a bad run, and suddenly they're absolutely celebrating away at Bristol City yesterday because they've got a draw and they've managed to stay off in the last day of the season. Madness.
I love the Championship. I love watching Championship football without us being in it. I think the Championship is an incredible league.
I agree.
I think it's very competitive. And I think what makes things exciting in any walk of life, when you're talking about any kind of sport, what makes a thing exciting is when it's competitive. You don't want to watch a boxing match where one guy flat batters the other one and beats him in 2 rounds. You don't want to watch a sprint race between Usain Bolt and Matt Lucas. You don't, because you know
why Matt Lucas?
I don't.
Matt, you're going to lose.
I was going to say Stephen Hawking, but I thought that might be a bit un-PC. But you don't want to watch that sprint race, right? You don't want to watch. You want to watch Usain Bolt when he's the best be pushed to his absolute limits.
No,
you want to watch. You want to in any sport. You don't want to watch a game where England cricket team take on a team that's played 3 cricket games in their whole career. I mean, England probably lose that, actually, to be fair. But you don't. You want to watch close competition. You want to watch tightly fought games. And you want to be the fan on the side of the team that just wins it. Because even fans of teams that cut around beating everybody 5-0 will go, a bit boring now, isn't it? And that's why, sorry to fans of these clubs, but that's why some of the top teams in the Premier League, Liverpool's, Chelsea's, Arsenal's, etc., half the stadium now is tourists.
And that's why City couldn't sell their allocation for the FA Cup semi-final.
Exactly that.
So, yeah.
Exactly that. Right. We've got some bits to skim through before we go. I think it's an interesting chat, actually. I was excited for the Championship anyway because I felt like we would finally be able to compete. The team was just clearly not going to be able to compete in the Premier League. I'm now excited for the Championship for more reasons than that. I think it is the most exciting, most competitive league in the world. And again, I need to be clear before I get murdered in the comment section when the video finishes. I'm not saying it has the highest standard of football. I'm saying it's the most competitive league. I think that's more exciting for the spectator. I just think it is.
But if you want to jump in the comment section and slaughter him, it's fine.
Yeah,
go for it.
Especially if you pay. Transfer news. We'll skim through these last few bits.
This has just been some basic ones. So I'll. You say you want to skim through it. I'll go through this. So
yeah, go for it. Hit me, bitch.
We've obviously just. Okay. So I've lost my train of thought again. We've obviously discussed Gianni V's release course. For our good old super agent Fabrizio Romano's said that so when he signed his new contract last year, there's now a £6 million relegation release course.
Yeah.
As we said, and I was going to say it earlier as well, with a lot of some of these players with him, 2 relegations, 2 9-0 defeats. He's got to be mentally scarred. He's got to look at our team name in the future and probably have flipping nightmares for the rest of his life.
6 million relegation clause. Do you wait for someone to offer 6 million? Because let's be honest, are they going to, or do you take a £4 or £5 million bid?
I think someone will offer 6.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. I think someone will offer 6.
Okay.
So in terms of that, that's fine. We'll get on to this next one in a minute. So there's been a few rumours that will go around. The big one that's come out today has been Rasmus Ankersen is wanting to take a bit more of a pivotal role in Gospete next year, with Joe Rebo being massively linked. Apparently he would be open to the move.
Good.
Yeah.
I am too, Joe. Off you go.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much. And I put one name down. We have been linked to numerous goalkeepers. Today being the guy from Sunderland, who I did just have in my head, but clearly I'm suffering from early onset tonight. But one of the names that I have put down is Pierce Charles, who obviously, as we know, is the brother of
Shay
Charles, which could be interesting if Danny Roll were to come into the role.
or Craig. Could be the brother of Craig Charles.
That'd be cool, wouldn't it? That'd be a little red dwarf.
Or King.
King Charles. Not sure that works, to be fair. Although there's going to be some people in the chat that are going, "What's Red Dwarf?"
Yeah.
Get a life. So in terms of that, I thought that's an interesting one. We normally do a loan watch. One thing I was interested in, I was having this conversation with some of our members again, our members' Discord section in the week. Samadozi got a goal for Anderlecht yesterday. He's been very impressive, supposedly, since he's been there. So I know you're not a fan of Samadozi. But I wonder whether there's going to be a significant role for him to play next year, because last year when we were in the Championship, he was doing really, really well until he picked up that fairly serious ankle injury.
Yeah.
Then it looked like a crack of shit when he came back and missed that sitter at Wembley, which I believe, if I repeated what you said, you'd probably be imprisoned.
He's not a bad player, but he seems to be one of those players who is on form or off form. On form, or there's no in between with him. Do you know what I mean? So, I feel like some players could not be on their highest level of form and yet can play an impactful role in a game. I feel like Sam is one of those players where if he's off form, you are carrying him completely. And that's my problem with him.
My issue with someone like Samadozi, and this isn't an issue with him directly, is I would pay you to have him in the team over Camel Dean, because at least he'd try.
I agree. Camel Dean is more often than not a spectator, and we're carrying him. So I absolutely agree with you on that one. If you said to me, we can sell Camel Dean, we can bring Adozi back, and he'll be his direct replacement, at this point, I say, okay.
Yeah, good. And then the last one that I've got in there is, obviously they do a player fronts up to the Echo each week, and this was one that Ryan Manning did with Alfie and George, confirming that he wants to stay next season.
How very noble of him.
Apparently, according to him, I think the quote that he said was, "A lot of the lads in the dressing room feel we need to stay and get the club back to where they should be." Don't really want a lot of you to be honest.
That's a beautiful segue into this next section, because can they? Because I'm looking at this squad of players, and I'm looking at the performances we're putting in, and I'm looking at some of that Championship football we've just been talking about that we've been watching, and I'm thinking to myself, this current group of players would struggle next season in the Championship. And I mean, really, and let's face it, Saturday, what we were essentially doing on Saturday was we were playing Championship opposition.
Yeah.
Now, there was arguably nothing on the line, but you could argue there was something on the line for Leicester because they didn't want a 10-game no goal scored at home record and another loss.
Yeah.
And there was something on the line for Saints because we want to get over that 11-point Derby record. So arguably, if there was ever going to be a game at the bottom of the table at this stage of the season that has something on the line, that was probably it. And that performance concerned me. So Ryan Manning says he wants to stay. And a load of the players apparently are saying, we should put the work in to get this team back up. I question whether they actually have the ability.
I think Ryan Manning, we discussed it, Ryan Manning along with James Breen and a few other players have stepped up a little bit this season. I think there's a lot of players, and again, we'll do this. People keep asking me, yes, we're going to do a keep sell loan show. We're going to keep going through the summer.
I thought they kept asking about the naked calendar.
We got to do that at Christmas.
Right, okay.
Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah, just to put that out there.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Good.
As long as I can use Photoshop. So
I'd pay to see you. I'd pay to see you use Photoshop.
I wouldn't have a flipping clue what I was doing. So I think there's some players that look. We have to be, when we do the show, we'll be realistic. That yes, we'll sit here and we'll say that apart from Ramsdale and Fernandes, get rid of all of them. It's not going to happen. We're going to have to be very realistic about the players that will want to stay, could stay, might not get bought. I think the issue that we've got, and I've put this going forward now, so I didn't think we'd be ranting for this long, because I obviously didn't think that Leicester would have been this bad. But the Championship obviously finished yesterday, and the 4 teams have been confirmed in the playoffs. So we've got Sheffield United, Sunderland, Coventry and Bristol City.
Yep.
Kind of similar to what you said, earlier. Bristol City made it into the Championship playoffs, but they nearly lost at home to Preston, who were fighting relegation, etc. And I think the issue that I've got with that, I think Chat would probably agree with me. If we sit there and look at those 4 teams in the Championship playoff, and then put our current team up against them,
we don't go up.
I don't think we beat any of them.
No, we don't go up.
I honestly think that the team, and yes, it's a confidence issue, and this is why I've said about having the right man come in and why it's so big. When we went down last time, we had people like Elianusi playing, and we had James Ward-Prowse obviously was in the team, and we had some players, Theo Walcott was in the team. They weren't good enough, but they tried.
Yeah.
This time, they just don't give a toss. And I'm sorry, I don't care what anyone turns around to me. The majority of them just do not care. So when I look at the Championship next season and we strip the whole squad away, potentially, and we finish 8th or 9th or 10th and everyone's throwing their arms in the air, I just want the flipping club back. Because at the moment, we are not just the embarrassment talk of the flipping country. There's people halfway around the world that watch English football and going, they're shit. Yeah, we know. We have been all year. Nothing's changed. Literally, nothing has changed. We had Russell Martin, and it was rubbish. So we brought in Ivan Juric, and it got worse. We got Simon Russ, we thought, he might be better, and he's making the same stupid decisions the other 2 were.
Well, I mean, Russ did a lot of work under Russell Martin, so it's not a massive surprise that he's making the same mistakes. He's been part of the club for the last 2 or 3 years, which has been pretty awful. Matty McManus is in chat. The team that got us promoted was better than the team we currently have, and I'm inclined to agree. It was better. The team that got us promoted was better. And we watched that interview with Russell Martin from Gary Lineker, and he said we went into the league with a weaker team. He said it in his interview.
No, we know
So
that.
he knew.
We lost Che Adams. We lost Stuart Armstrong. We made moves.
We lost Che Adams on a free, might I add.
No, yeah, exactly.
He left on a free. And this is the other thing you have to ask yourself, right? Che Adams gets promoted with Southampton, so now has an opportunity to play the Premier League and chooses to bugger off abroad on a free transfer.
Yeah.
Why?
2 reasons. One, it was a payday for him, last one, with his kids, his wife, etc., etc. Second one, he'd been in the Premier League before with us and got nothing realistically apart from dog's abuse, because he was a striker who, again, he worked really, really hard, but didn't score the goals that he should have scored.
Yeah, I bet fans hadn't abused him now, because he would have worked hard at least.
He would not have saved us this year, though.
When we do our keep, loan, sell nonsense, we will try and be honest with it, because I would like to be ruthless, but you have to remember it's a business and it operates as a business. And you could turn around and say, I terminate everyone's contracts. That'd cost the club millions of pounds, and you wouldn't have any money to buy anybody in. So you can't do that. So we're going to have to be realistic. But I think what we're going to have to do also is we're going to have to look at certain players, and we're going to have to go, maybe people like Osama Daisies, and we're going to have to go, we keep them for the Championship. But there's a caveat for some of these players.
Yeah.
That is, when we get promoted, we have to realise that they probably won't cut it. And you can afford to take a gamble on 50% of your players that might not cut it in the Premier League and pick your best 50% and hope that you bolster the rest of your team and go, bought in some proven Premier League players. We've got this 50, 60% that we think can make it in the Premier League. Off we go. And you might get it wrong, but you've picked your best, because you can't replace all 11. It's impossible. You can't do that.
No.
But you also can't go up with basically your promoted team. Promoted team with the exception of Cam Archer, who scored 4 goals last season. Ben Barrett and Diaz, who lasted half a season before we loaned him out. Maxwell Cornet, who we loaned, played once and sent back again. This is how bad it was. Otherwise, what we have done... Ukachukwu, who's actually been okay. Otherwise, what we've done is we've played our promoted team.
Well, the thing is...
Albert Grumbeck, who's off with an injury still.
You said his name right.
I know, because I'm so angry.
Jesus. The thing is, you say that, you say we played our promoted team, but think about that starting lineup at Wembley.
Adam Armstrong.
Not playing.
Because he's on loan.
Yeah.
I don't remember the lineup actually, to be unfair.
Crikey, it was that long ago. So
Taylor
obviously,
Howard-Bellis.
Alex McCarthy was in goal.
Yeah, Taylor Howard-Bellis.
We played, obviously, Taylor Howard-Bellis.
Jack Stevens.
Jack Stevens played. Jan Bednarik played. Carl Walker-Peters played. Ryan Manning didn't play.
Who was left back?
David Brooks.
David Brooks was left back. You're right, actually.
Had an absolute stormer when he came
Flynn
off
Downs.
yesterday. Flynn Downs played.
Will Smallbone.
Obviously been in and out. And players like, the point being is players like Will Smallbone are the ones that we're going to have to be realistic with and go, right, Will Smallbone, is he going to be someone we get rid of? Probably not. Interesting enough, he turned down a move to Middlesbrough in the January transfer window because he said, don't want to play in the Championship.
Lol.
So, you know.
Adozie on the left wing.
Adozie came on for David Brooks. Ryan Fraser played, if you remember. Actually, I think Ryan Fraser might have played left back.
Ryan Fraser
did play left back.
Did start?
Yeah,
did he
played
start?
left back. Yeah, he played left back. I'm pretty sure he played left back.
Who played right mid?
Oh, Cameron said you said it wrong. Sorry.
Grombeck.
Just don't. Just don't. I cannot deal with you tonight. Move on.
Love to know what you guys think about Saints' chances next season. We're going to do some content over the summer about the Championship and how we think, where we think we'll place, how we think we'll play, etc. I think there's some fans out there, if I'm honest with you, looking at social media who naively think that we're a Premier League club going down to the Championship and we're still a Premier League club. We're not a Premier League club. We've proven that this season at least. I think the pedigree, I think the history of Southampton Football Club should dictate that they should be a Premier League club. And I think the club genuinely should work to get into the Premier League and establish themselves as a mid-table club at least. And I think that we shouldn't be fighting relegation battles with our history, with the pedigree, with the club, with the facilities, with the stadium, with the training establishment, with the academy. I genuinely believe that Southampton Football Club belongs in the Premier League in the longer term. What we haven't done this season is prove at any point that we belong in this league. And where we're going to be next season, as I put on the show title, is fully deserved. We deserve relegation. We deserve to be bottom of the league. And when I say we, I don't mean the fans, because I think that we have shown some incredibly phenomenal support this season. And I think that Saints fans, specifically those travelling away, should really, despite the fact their club have embarrassed them, be able to end this season with their heads held very high, that they have done everything they can to do their part. I have watched repeated games on the television that Saints are away. I've been to a number of away games myself, and you typically hear the away end over the home end when Saints are playing, which is impressive when we've got fuck all to sing about.
I said it last night on the tweet that I put out. The league table doesn't lie. We haven't just been the worst team. We have been the worst team by a country mile. And I said it before. I know we're past. Well, we're not past. We're level with the 11 points. This season needs to be the stark reminder of what happens when you get it very, very, very wrong.
This season should sit on the club like a scar.
It's massively so. It should sit on worse than that. And, you know, we say shout-outs to fans. Absolutely fantastic. You think how long it took fans to turn, for example. And yesterday, there's a lot of people saying about, obviously, how toxic that away end got. Good. And I think, you know, some people saying, Football Martin did say he's not known it that bad in terms of it. We were at Spurs when we got relegated. It's the adage of, I think people kind of refused to accept it until it happened. It's now happened. And we're getting worse and worse. I've just seen that, yeah. It's getting worse and worse and worse. And, you know, you talked Maxwell Cornet or, as Cameron has now aptly put, Albert gone back. There's too many players. There's too much questions. We know the reason we didn't do much business in January transfer window. It needs to be a clean slate in the summer. And this is what the new manager needs to be doing.
It's all well and good me saying repeatedly that Southampton belong in the Premier League because of their long-standing
belongs
history.
in the Premier League.
No one does belong in the Premier League, but Southampton should, I think, but I believe Southampton should be viewed as a Premier League club. But you have to earn your place. You have to earn the right to be there. And we have not shown that as a club we've earned the right to be there. At the moment, we are not a Premier League side. We're not a Premier League club. At the moment, we are a Championship club at best. At the moment. And what other clubs have done historically, like clubs like your Bournemouth and your Nottingham Forest, is they've gone up and they've established themselves in that league, and they're now very, very much seen as a Premier League club because they can beat the big boys, because they can compete with most teams in the middle of the table, because they thrash the people at the bottom, right? we need to. You're right. We need to earn that place, and we need to make better decisions as a club in general. And I'm hoping this starts with Johan Spors, who's sorting out all the backroom staff and shuffling everything up and putting people in the right places. And the people that he's bringing in, if you look at some of the CVs of the people that he's bringing in, maybe not the most impressive CVs in the world, but what they are is they're football people taking footballing positions.
And this is something that we are going to do a season review show. I might just sit here for an hour just saying shit over and over again. But we'll do things in terms of it, not just on us, actually. We plan on going through almost the Premier League to a point in terms of where it went wrong for some teams. Again, we're in a similar situation to Leicester in terms of where it's gone wrong and how it's gone wrong. And I think that, someone said to me today, was it a mistake to sack Russell Martin? I went, no, absolutely not. It wasn't. It's just gone downhill. We were on a downward spiral then anyway. It's just gone downhill since then. And we're not going to go into it now because I know we're going to get into the preview before we finish because we're nearly over time.
What we've done since sacking Russell Martin is we've tried to fill 2 holes in a ship that's got 10 holes in it. Mm-hmm. That's what we've done, and so we've continued to sink, and it's sunk faster.
Russell Martin
was
almost got us to a point of embarrassment, and he's obviously said in his podcast with Gary Lineker that he went against his football principles in those games, play things like 5 at the back. Fine, we got rid of him. We'll bring someone in. We should have bought someone who's a bit more experienced. We didn't. We bought an Ivan Juric. Because let's be honest, by the time we brought him in at Christmas, we knew we were down. And then, like I said on one of the streams, he took us as a turd and made us smell even worse.
Well, the thing is with Juric is I legitimately believe that I could have done a job as good as him and cost the club half as much money. Because he did a terror. He didn't. What did he do? He was dreadful, right? It was absolutely dreadful. Anyway, yeah. I'm sorry that the language in this show has been a little bit more colourful than usual, team. I am, but as a lifelong Southampton fan, we both are, born and raised down here, have been to that stadium countless times, have followed us all the way down to League One, all the way back up again. Has been to FA Cup finals, been to Johnson's Paint Trophy finals, been to playoff finals, following this team. Yesterday was... I struggle with actual words that I can say on a show, considering how much colourful language we've already used. It was one of the most frustrating, anger-inducing, embarrassing moments as a Saints fan I think I've ever had. And I sat at home and watched it. It's got to the point where people have stopped even laughing at us now. It's just pity, and that makes it even worse. Not even banter anymore. It's just pity because it was shocking. And I blame the club's management. And I know he's trying to make changes, but it's his fault that we're here. I blame the players for just not putting any level of effort in. And I think any one of us who spends our hard-earned cash, most of us have normal, sensible day jobs that perhaps we don't always love, and we have to. I say this knowing what I do, but you work in a big corporation in retail. Sometimes you probably go, oh, it's a bit of shit today. I don't want to do this, but you go and earn your money, and then you choose to spend that money on this football club for overpaid wankers who walk out on that pitch and they don't care and they're not interested. And half of them are just thinking about what move they might secure to allow them to continue to play in the Premier League. And they say it's because I really want to play in the Premier League. You don't. You just want your biggest payday. It's all you care about. It's all you care about, let's be honest, because you know that by playing in the Premier League, you can demand a higher wage. It's as simple as that.
It will be very interesting to see how many of those players actually get Premier League moves or big moves.
I think a lot of them might actually be surprised. So I'm sorry about it. I'm sorry about the colourful language, but my God, I was angry yesterday. I was frustrated. I refrained a little bit on Twitter from being as rude as I wanted to be. I typed a couple. There's one point where I was like, I tried to type a tweet and I just can't. I'm lost for words. And I typed about 4 or 5. I was like, I can't post that. It's too rude. And this is me. It was. So we have a part here, which we normally do at the end of the show if things go badly for them, which we call Skate Watch, and we laugh at the skates. But at this point, I don't think we're in a position to. Because at least they got a point out of that game.
No, the only reason that I put it in there is because they obviously were going massively about Ruben Sellers.
So, I
mean, to relegate Ruben Sellers and they couldn't do it.
We can do this now as well. We've got Man City next week. We've got Everton the week after. We've got Arsenal the week after that. It goes home, away, home. Loss. Done. Cool.
Done. Preview. Although there is potentially... Actually, I'm not even going to say it now. There's a record on the line next week. There's an unbeaten record on the line next week against City.
It's irrelevant. It's City.
There's still an unbeaten record
It's City.
on the line.
It's City fighting for a... What's this unbeaten record you're talking about?
It's George's.
Oh, your son?
He's not seen us lose yet.
Well, he's about to finally understand what disappointment means.
My 9-year-old, who does follow football as much as he can with me, he turned around and said to me, "I've not seen Southampton lose yet. I will now, but at least I'll get to see Haaland."
Fair.
And I was like, "Might be the last time you get to see him for a while, mate. So yeah, you can come."
Yeah, City are going to batter Saints because City is still fighting for Champions League.
They are. Yes.
Then we go to Everton with the last game at Goodison Park, and so many Saints fans. I love you, Saints fans, but you're a little bit deluded. Are going, "Oh, it'll be great if we're the club that has the upset at Goodison." Many other seasons in the Premier League, I would have believed that we could be that club. This season, I just don't believe it. I don't believe it.
It won't happen.
Last game at Goodison Park, back under command of David Moyes. There's absolutely no way Saints are getting anything out of that game. I would love to be pleasantly surprised. I don't think it's going to happen. Final game of the season at home to Arsenal. Nothing on the line for either clubs, realistically. Although Arsenal could end up finishing third or fourth. Lol.
They could also potentially at that point, be in a Champions League final. They need to go hammer and tong to get there, but they could potentially.
I kind of would like to see Arsenal in the Champions League final. I'll be honest. I would like to see them in the Champions League final. I can't see them getting past PSG or Barca.
PSG they got now, yeah.
That being, Barca or Inter, if they beat PSG. I can't see them getting past Barca or Inter. That being said, if Inter beat... Here's the thing. I think if Inter beat Barca, Arsenal have a harder final. Because Barca open up really quickly now.
Yeah, they do.
If Arsenal can put a couple early goals past Barcelona and they can defend like we know that they can defend, they stand the chance against Barca. But if they let players like Yamal play, they're in trouble.
They're not getting past PSG.
You don't reckon?
I don't know. We've got a couple of resident Arsenal fans in the chat, haven't we? I'd like to know what they think.
I can see them do it. I can see them doing PSG.
I think they can. I think the problem is, I was really disappointed with them in the first leg. I thought they didn't have, when they played Real Madrid, they were up for it and they hustled and bustled. And then before PSG, Arteta did that embarrassing video, was like, "We need you." And then the fan didn't turn up. And it kind of seemed like it was one of those situations, like, rather than be like, "Right, we're in a Champions League semi-final, let's go for it." It was we're in a Champions League semi-final. And Odegaard looked a bit off of it, and they were really, really missing Thomas Partey in the middle. That'll be the big difference for this next return leg.
Partey being back will be huge.
Partey being back will be huge.
Yeah. Because it lets Rice play as well.
Yeah, watched him yesterday. Odegaard, I just want him to see him swing his leg at the flipping ball. He wasn't doing it. I would like to see that. But then obviously we talk about the other game, and me and you both watched the majority of the Inter-Barca game, and crikey Moses, that was...
What a game that was.
That was... Probably one of the best Champions League games I've ever watched.
What a game that was. Incredible football, that game, honestly. I thought it was amazing.
And you just like, oh my God. And then, we then watch our shower of shit.
Yeah.
And you're like, Jesus Christ.
And I think I've got to a point this season where I've started really enjoying watching, because I haven't watched other clubs other than Southampton for a very long time. But this season, because Southampton's been so awful, I've actually started watching other games like Champions League games, and I've started really enjoying watching general football again, because it's like watching a person who can actually kick a ball.
What you should do is go to Tottenham tomorrow. Tottenham are playing in the playoff finals tomorrow. Good luck to them.
I think Cameron says PSG Barca final. What a game that would be. I think that would be the most exciting Champions League final, but I would actually like to see an English club in the final. I would have no qualms at all whatsoever with seeing Arsenal win the Champions League, Man United winning the Europa League, and Chelsea winning the Conference League.
Man United or Spurs?
I'd rather see Man United win it, honestly, because Spurs is a meme at that point.
I mean, it is mad that we're potentially in a position where it does that, but
But if that happens, think about the amount of English clubs that end up in European football next season. I think that's at least a good sign for.
It's gonna be loads.
Yeah. But honestly, I straight up say that I know there's people in chat like Yeston who's an Arsenal fan. There's a couple of us in there as well. I say this honestly, I would like to see Arsenal in the final. I don't see them beating any of the teams currently in the. I'm not sure if I think they'll get past PSG. I don't see them beating Barca or Inter, but I would like to see it. Honestly, I would. So
I just don't see it happening. But
no, I know. Right. The last thing we've got before we go is to jump into the chat, because some people have been quite generous tonight and have gifted us some memberships and super chats. So thank you so much for your support. You're wonderful human beings. If I jump into the fan-funded section right now so I can read out these. If you're listening on iTunes and Spotify, we're going to respond right now to the people in YouTube live chat who have spent some money to try and get our attention. which is basically what happens. If you want to get involved, you can come and join us live on YouTube every week at 8 p.m. So, Yeston Jones, the Arsenal fan I just mentioned, thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships. You're a legend. And Cameron has become an Academy member. He's joined the Academy. Also, says we can thank this membership to his wife.
Thank you.
So I'm sure she's given the money to buy it or handed a card over or something. So thank you so much, Cameron's wife. We all love you. Matt McManus, thank you for the $5. My hands still hurt and my voice is still gone. But that game yesterday was one of the worst games I've attended. The fans were man of the match as per. Yeah, they 100%. And there was tweets about that. Matty Fernandez chat. There was tweets about
There's loads of it that's gone around. There's so much that's gone around, and there's a few of our content creators. And a lot of other people that said it. Leicester fans said it's amazing. You guys booed a substitution and then sung for 40 minutes. And we sat there in silence of a game that we're supposed to be winning.
Yeah.
And he said it was just absolutely mad.
Yeah, impressive. It was impressive. Yeston, thank you for the £10. Sorry, Liam, but what a crock of shit. We are British. We love watching the underdog win against big teams in any sport. So I'm not arguing that point, Yeston. This was referring to when we were talking about wanting to see games be competitive. But what we're saying, if an underdog beats a big team, that's a competitive game. So it's not a crock of shit. You're agreeing with part of what I'm saying. You want to see everyone be able to compete. So an underdog story is where a team that you sort of expect to lose can win a game.
We love an underdog. We loved it when Leicester won the league. We love it when
Plymouth beat Liverpool in the FA Cup.
We love those stories.
We do.
The thing is that what we want a division where we don't sit there. And I know it's been a bit. Arsenal have come off. I know Liverpool have lost, but we don't want it to be a team where there's always the same.
So you want your underdog stories to happen when Leicester win the league or Premier League team draws Championship team and they play each other. You don't want underdog stories realistically for a single game. So what I'm saying is to try and add some context and flesh this out and try and make it not sound nonsensical. You do not want Liverpool to sell out versus Southampton in the Premier League to be an underdog story. Underdog story should be held for things like cup draws. Leicester winning the league is an underdog story, but that isn't a singular game. That happens over the course of a whole season.
But that never used to be an underdog story. In the league season, you used to start, you had 20 teams, go for it.
I love an underdog story, I do. And I love seeing the little man win. But for a league to be exciting all season and for it to be fun, you don't want underdog stories in that. You want it to be competitive. You want anyone at any day to be able to beat anybody.
Yeah.
You don't want games to be dead certs. You just don't.
Which is ruined at the moment by the 5 subs and the lack of extra time and
you just don't. You just don't want anything to be a dead cert. And again, you can love underdog stories when it comes to any kind of sport. Whether you're watching football, rugby, cricket, tennis, snooker, it doesn't matter. You want underdog stories, but you want the underdog to have a chance of winning. You want it to be competitive. At the moment, 2 years in a row, we've seen 3 teams get promoted and 3 teams go straight back down again. If that happens again next season, the Premier League really needs to look at that and go, this is becoming a problem. The barrier is becoming too high. The barrier of entry into the Premier League to then start to compete and kick on is becoming too high. That is, and I'm sure if next season 3 teams go up and Leeds just about manage to stay in the Premier League, that's an underdog story. It is.
And I'm going to jump in on that. Ash has just said, is Forest this year not an underdog story? It is to a degree. However, I think you need to look at, as we get to this point in the season, because they're out of cup competitions quite early, as we get, well, no, not the FA Cup, but still, as we get to this point of the season, they're already now struggling, and it's looking like they probably won't get Champions League. So although it is an underdog story and they're going to get some form of European football, you want more, don't you? Yeah, but they've been competitive, and teams go up against Forest and had a belief that they can beat them. It's still been competitive. There's been no Forest has there been no dead certs. Yeah,
Forest haven't gone to any team when you go they're going to lose. They're definitely going to get beaten. Oh, interesting.
Yes, very interesting.
Ralph Hasenhattel has just been sacked by Wolfsburg.
He's not coming back here.
Don't start the dream, Kieran. Don't start the dream. So I to sort of summarise, Yeston, I absolutely agree with you and disagree with you at the same time. I agree with you that we do love an underdog story. I don't agree with you that it's a crock of shit because I think when you're watching a league, you want a league to be exciting from top to bottom. You want the kind of underdog story like Arsenal winning the league. Star Pilot, thank you for the $2. 10-0 loss on the horizon. Don't. It could.
It really could happen.
Don't.
It genuinely could.
This team and its defensive record is so bad, and we still have to play said Arsenal and Manchester City. And it probably get to the last game of the season, and Arsenal will need to put 10 past us to get 5th place. So it's possible.
Oh, one of the commentators say yesterday that Erling Haaland on the bench said, he hasn't scored in a while.
But thank you for the $2. Yes, and thank you for the $20. Last time Arsenal were in the Champions League final against Barca, I got 2 new kittens that night, named one Sol because Sol Campbell scored a goal. The other kitten was named Cheating Spanish Bastards. Tells the story.
I mean, not to a point. I mean, even Jens Lehmann would have been sent off in today's day and age, mate. So I kind of understand it. And I can't even remember who went in goal after Jens Lehmann was sent off, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think it was Manuel Almunia, and he made an absolute howler for the second one. Spanish guy making mistakes against
I
the
quite liked
team.
the old Arsenal team years ago.
Everyone loved him. It was Henry and Pires and Lindbergh. Everyone loved him, didn't they?
Freddie Ljungberg, yeah.
Absolutely
Patrick
loved him.
Vieira.
One of the best teams. I mean, I know we beat them 1 year, but they came to us in their Invincible season and they beat us 1-0, and I've never seen a team move like they did.
Henry and Dennis Bergkamp, wasn't it?
Henry, Bergkamp.
Was it Bergkamp that buggered off and then they bought Van Persie? And you're like, Jesus, calm down.
Yeah, and they had a Vieira, obviously Sol Campbell at the back with
Martin
Keown, Ashley Cole, Lauren, Sylvain Wiltord, Jose Antonio Reyes.
What a team.
Oh,
what a team.
Yeah.
See, I know.
Yeah, see.
Thank you, Eddie Yester, for the $20, and thank you, Ashley, too. Pick your 3 teams to go up next season, please.
We can't really. We haven't had pre-season, mate.
If you had to tell me now, it's difficult. I would have preferred this question after we know the result of the playoffs, because I do look at at the moment. So Ash and I talked about this before we went on air. Sheffield United, Sunderland, Coventry, Bristol City are all in the playoffs, and if you look at the points, logically you say that Sheffield United will win the playoffs and go up, right? You can chuck a longer one if you want, Ash. It's fine. I don't care today. Bank holiday Monday tomorrow, isn't it? We're both off work. We're both off work?
I'm off work tomorrow.
Both off work. I'm not off work. I've got to do a show in the evening. But yeah. So looking at the points that Sheffield United have scored so far in the Championship, you would logically think that they are the strongest team in the playoffs. I think Lampard and Coventry are flying at the moment. I think they're sort of the informed team in the playoffs, perhaps. So I look at teams like Sunderland, Sheffield United, and Coventry at the moment, at least, and think that they have a chance to be in the running for automatic promotion next season. Picking a guaranteed top 3 is very difficult. Saints, I think, aren't strong enough at the moment to compete in the Championship, so we would need to see pre-season. If we have a strong pre-season, I think we can compete. But at the moment, I think we're probably looking like a mid-table Championship side. Leicester aren't looking much better. They're looking a bit better, maybe a playoff side, but I don't think they look like an automatic promotion side right now. Ipswich have looked stronger, but you're not telling me they're keeping hold of people like Delap.
No, not a chance.
At the end of the season, and they're probably going to lose him to a Premier League side, and then you go, well, what do they do with that money? Do they strengthen in the right ways? It's really if you want to ask me this at the start of kickoff in the Championship, bearing in mind the window's still not closed at that point, I could probably give you a slightly better answer. At the moment, I just don't think I can. I think it's really hard to give you a good answer right now because so many things are going to happen over the summer. Anything that's half decent for the 3 teams being demoted from the Premier League is going to get bought, which means Ramsdale and Fernandes for Saints, and then the other 2 teams, because we haven't got anything else good. There's a possibility you'll find a Kyle Walker-Peters or a Taylor Harwood-Bez getting a small move to a mid-table club, maybe. But let's face it, Taylor Harwood-Bez is banking on his England appearance, giving him some weight at some sort of Premier League club, because his Southampton performance has not been good enough. Kyle Walker-Peters works his balls off, and I can see him going to a club. He was rumoured to go to Liverpool as a stand-in after Alexander-Arnold goes to Real Madrid. There's also now rumours that Alexander-Arnold isn't going to Real Madrid. He might actually stay at Liverpool after all. So you just don't know, do you? Because there's so many variables from now until the start of the season, let alone the end of next season.
There is so many variables in terms of the managerial effort, and I'm the same as you. You can't make any decisions like that. You have to look at Sheffield United. If they don't go up, what's the situation going to be around Chris Wilder? Sunderland have been a bit. They were really up there for a while. They've been a bit dipped topsy-turvy. Liam Manning's done a great job at Bristol City to get them into the playoffs. Everyone will remember the last time that Bristol City were in the playoffs, they made the final, and it's that adage of who's got their thing. You've then obviously got Birmingham coming up with a lot of money behind them. I know we said Wrexham could be surprised. You've got them coming up with a lot of money behind them. You've got West Brom. You've got other teams that are in that mid-table pot that all think they should be in the Championship. So I think we're just going to have to wait and see.
Do you think there's a combined 11 or combined squad of the 3 relegated Premier League teams that could stay up? Name them if you can, but about that song. You're going to struggle, I think, aren't you? Vardy, Delap up front. You probably have Ramsdale in goal. You put Fernandes in the team.
Yes, you'd have Leif Davis at left back probably.
Yeah, you'd have none of the Saints defenders. Maybe Yanni be at a push.
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. But maybe Kyle Walker-Peters at right back?
You'd have Kyle Walker-Peters at right back, yeah. At centre back, you would probably have, I can't remember his name, one of the guys that plays for Ipswich. And, I don't know, the centre back is obviously the worst part that you'd be going for.
Centre back's the hardest position to fill.
Centre back's hardest to go for. And then obviously in midfield, you'd probably go Wilfred Ndidi.
Yeah.
And probably based on this season's form, I'd say Sam Morsey sat in the middle too.
Yeah.
And then as wingers, you'd maybe look at Mari Hutchinson at Ipswich.
And
El Canouse.
Yeah, sorry, I keep
at Leicester. And I'm not necessarily potentially going to go for Ramsdale. Well, not Ramsdale, Vardy.
Oh, really? I mean, Delap's a set, right?
I think Delap is a set.
Hilariously, we have just instantly defaulted to 4-4-2. Yeah! Yeah!
We've instantly defaulted. Look, I think there's a lot of players. There's also a lot of players. Brian Notte's looked really good for Leicester this year. We've obviously had some spark. Takes players in certain spaces have had some sparks. Samuel Smodic started really well. Jacob Greaves, yes, that's the one. Riley, thank you. Matt's just said there, not Mavididi, but Mavididi was sensational in the Championship. Fatou not played for Leicester, and we haven't even put Will Smallbone in the team. So what can we do?
Oh yeah. We should put Bottle of Ketchup at the centre back because he got a standing ovation when he came back onto the pitch. About the only moment I think Saints fans may have embarrassed themselves.
Maybe.
It's an interesting question, Ash. What we might do actually. Here's an idea for you people. For those of you that are members, I'm going to open up a new section in Discord sometime this week when Ash reminds me to. And what we'll do is we'll allow you to ask some questions that could be the topic of some short form videos that we can record over the summer to release to keep the content ticking over. So that kind of question is great, actually, I think. If I'm honest with you, that would be my pick for the 11. Do I think they would stay up? No. I think they have the best chance of staying up. Do I think they'd stay up? No.
With the right manager, I think they would. I think just look at Leicester. They had that team. They were 12th. They sacked Steve Cooper because they didn't like his style of football. They brought in Ruud van Nistelrooy. Look what happened to him.
Yeah, I bet they're regretting that, aren't they?
100%. 100%. Front three of Delap, Vardy and Tool. Yes.
But do I think that team stays up, Ash? That's the main part of that question. I think the answer is probably no, to be fair. The most sensible comment, all chat 442. Yeah.
Yes.
I am reminded forever, and if you're too young to remember this, you need to go and find it and watch it. I reminded forever of Mike Bassett, England manager, played by Ricky Tomlinson. England will play 4-4-2. That's what we should do. Right. Thank you, Star, at the end. Would you rather Saints go back up or stay down? Honestly, I think that the best for the club at the moment, there's double reasons for this. If you consider the state of the football club right now and the state of the squad, I don't think one transfer window is going to be enough for us to clear out everything we need to clear out and bring in everything we need to bring in. Would you agree?
To a point, in a season, we're going to have 2 transfer windows.
I don't think it's enough. January's a non-window. January's a non-window. You can't do serious business in January.
Look, it's that heart and head, isn't it? In your head, you're going to want Southampton to go back up. We want our team to be bossing it amongst the big boys. In our heart, at the moment, I think, if we all admitted to ourselves, we're definitely not in the position that we need to be competing in the Premier League.
Here's what I think. I think England should... I think Southampton should come down, start the process. I would go for a 2-year plan, right? Honestly, and this 10-year nonsense. I go for a 2-year plan. Plan the players you're going to release, get rid of, sack, terminate, etc., and start rebuilding your squad. I would take a year to stabilise the club because I think we need stabilising, and the fans need to be given something to sort of start to believe in. That starts with the right gaffer. It does, ultimately. And then the second season, you then push hard for automatic promotion. I love the playoff final at Wembley. I want to go up top of the league. And I think if we look to go up next season, Sam, I don't think we're going up top of the league. I don't think that's going to happen. I want to go up top of the league, right? Second reason for this comes directly from parachute payments. So when we got relegated in the 22-23 season, we started our parachute payments. You get 3 years of parachute payments. Now, some of you aren't aware of this, but when you come back up to the Premier League the next season, they stop your parachute payments. They pause them immediately, okay? And what they do when they pause them immediately, this really fucking wound me up, by the way. All the money they save from them not giving that club the parachute payments, do you know what happens to it?
Yeah, it goes to the Premier League clubs.
It gets spread amongst all the Premier League clubs.
Yeah.
So the Premier League clubs get richer and the Championship clubs then miss out on the money that should be in the Championship. Annoyed me, but hey, it is the corrupt league that we know it is. So if we go up next season and then we come straight back down again, we get 1 year of parachute payments. And if we fail then, we then stop parachute payments, okay? If we stay a season, go up the next season, and then come down again, which is a possibility, we would then start 3 years of parachute payments all over again.
Look, it's a
technicality, but it's right.
Matt's just said it in his super chat. Matt, thanks for the two seasons of champs, do a league season after.
Agree.
Look, it's a possibility. I'm generally concerned that next season we could potentially be looking at doing a Luton. Burnley and Leeds came down. They kept the cores of their squads and they went for it again. I don't think we're going to keep the core of our squad. I don't want to keep the core of our squad. Ash has obviously then said do a Birmingham. I really don't want to drop down to League One.
Again,
we've done that. Been there, done that. I'd rather sack that off. To be fair,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot that's going on, and we're now nearly approaching 2 hours. There's a lot that we could discuss around.
Don't listen to Ash Thompson too. Actually, he's an Arsenal fan who lives in Ipswich, right?
Okay. Well, that's interesting.
Exactly.
So, we have to take in mind in terms of what's going to. That I keep saying there's a lot of football to be played. There is in terms of Premier League football. Championship season's now finished. Give them a couple of weeks. I think that the big thing that we need to discuss right now, not discuss right now, but be prepared for, is the management appointment needs to be done flipping soon. By the time that we play Arsenal, if it's going to be Danny Roll, they would have had 3 weeks off. So use the time now. Say to him, look, go and have a week, 2 weeks holiday. Do what you need to do. Come back. We'll talk. So that when we finish playing Arsenal, the players disappear. The minute the players disappear after that game against Arsenal, we go, right, this is the bloke who's going to be the manager. Put it all in the press. I mean, let's be honest, they haven't even announced season ticket prices yet. They're probably hoping there was going to be some sort of positives about that yesterday, and there wasn't. So no one even knows how much they're charging for a season ticket. Knowing them, they'll probably come out and say, we're going to charge you more because there's more games. Genius.
I hope not, because we don't have enough members to cover both season tickets yet. Over to you, chat. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the show. I hope you guys have enjoyed this discussion. It was a bit ranty at the start, I know, and I'm sure some Saints fans are a bit bored of it. We have always said that on the show we want to give you the honest opinion. I don't want to be one of those people that tries to sugarcoat it and dresses a turd up. That was in fact a turd yesterday. I want to talk about it as it was a turd, because that's the way we do things here. You'll always get straight talking and honest opinions from us about football, the leagues, any team, Southampton Football Club especially. So I hope you've at least enjoyed the show. If you have, make sure you smash that like button for us before you disappear. As I said earlier, there is no show next week. There is no show next week because I'm on holiday. I'm not even going to watch the City game. I'm not. Probably. So at the moment, there is no show next week. In fact, there isn't a show next week. We'll be back the week after, possibly, depending what time. Well, no, we will, but it depends what time I get back from Everton.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Should be okay.
We'll be fine.
Should get back in time to do the show on the way in from Everton, because I'm going to Goodison Park for that last game of the season at Goodison Park. So you can look forward to that one. As always, if you check out the links in the video description below, you better follow our progress on things like Twitter, or X as it's called, etc. And if you've been listening on iTunes and Spotify, thank you so much. You're all amazing. If you really want to support the show going forward, there's a number of things you can do. You can become a member, gift membership, super chat like we've already spoken about, but you can also just put a comment in the stream or on the show after we've finished as a comment. It helps the algorithm if you smash that like button. And more importantly, if you know other Saints fans or football fans who you think might enjoy this podcast, feel free to share it with them as well, because that helps us, because we're trying to march on to 1,000 subscribers.
Yes.
So we can put an ad on every 3 minutes.
I thought it was every 30 seconds.
Yeah, no, I'm joking. That's not going to happen.
I don't do that. You're the technical wizard. I don't even have to.
So, normally at this stage of the show, Ash, just before I say goodbye, I ask you if you want to say something. Do you want to say something?
Up the Saints. Yeah. I mean,
normally I'd be like, no, more energy, but I feel like that's probably as much as they deserve right now.
I have no energy. I'm exhausted. It's exhausting.
Up the Saints.
I don't know.
Up the Saints.
Come on, Tottenham. Good luck, Tottenham, tomorrow.
Thanks so much for watching, you wonderful human beings. We'll see you in the next one.